What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to another Fantasy Football Scout video with me, Lee, and this is Sam from FPL Family. Now Sam, we're about to get into Game Week 30. The break is nearly done. Have you enjoyed the break? Has it been a good refresher for your brain coming into Game Week 30?
I don't know why I miss it. I can't cope without FPL. It gives you something to think about, doesn't it? Like, the international break's been fine. There's been some decent games on, and I'm looking
back-to-back wins for England.
Yeah, I'm looking forward
World
to
Cup
England
in the
and
bag.
Poland. Like, we've got to do the Euros
coming
first. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Game Week 30 kicking off.
Game Week 30 coming up thick and fast. But before we get to our picks on our points prediction, as usual, we'll be doing a defender, a midfielder, and a forward from 3 different teams, and we'll be having our own picks. One of us will have the over 10%, who we think are the top picks for the game week, and one of us will have the under 10% differentials for the game week. But before we get to that for Game Week 30, how did we get on in Game Week 29?
It was actually quite a high-scoring game week for both of us, Game Week 29, which is surprising given that it was slim pickings when it came to picking it.
I did not expect the average score to be the average score that it was in FPL. Game Week 29 actually delivered.
It did, yeah.
And it didn't. I wasn't excited. I had very low expectations.
Yeah, given it was a blank game week, the players that actually went out there, the big ones,
did
actually do the business. So last time around, you had the overs. You had the over 10% players.
Yes.
The only one that didn't perform across, didn't return anything across all 3 of our players in both of our sides was Creswell, which was really surprising to me because I actually thought that he would get something out of that game against Arsenal, but Arsenal did come back, and of course he ended up with nothing because of the 3 goals that they scored. So that's disappointing. You then had Rafinha. Nice 8-pointer for him.
Yeah.
And Harry Kane with a penalty and 7 points for him. So
Jammy Harry. Okay.
15 points going out of those 3 guys. Decent returns for the week. On the other hand,
I feel like you're building this up. You know, well done, Lee, but
better luck next
unlucky.
time.
Yeah.
I had Lewis Dunk, who returned
Yes.
a nice clean sheet and 6 points. Thank you, Lewis. Should have gone for Veltman though, shouldn't I?
Yes. Well,
Should've
listen,
gone
the
for
stats
Veltman.
were there for Veltman. If you went for Veltman, well
Yeah,
done. That was a
should've
great
gone for
shout.
Veltman. I had the hero of the game week that was Jesse Lingard.
Oh,
with
yes.
his nice 12-point haul.
Jesse.
So thank you, Jesse.
Absolutely on fire right now.
Unbelievable. So really pleased with that.
But interestingly, not so great on the underlying stats. If you look at Jesse Lingard's XG, his expected goals, he's
still
massively overperforming. And I'm starting to wonder whether he's a bit of a Jamie Vardy. Whether he's he's sort of
has lots of parties and then disappears.
But he does a bit of that on Instagram as well. But the fact that he sort of belies his underlying stats, maybe his stats aren't the be all and end all with Jesse Lingard. I'm beginning to think. But anyway, sorry, I interrupted.
I certainly think he's got the motivation anyway.
Yes.
And then I have Madger up top. If we remember, it was very difficult to pick a forward this time around.
Yeah.
But he did get 1 point, so quite honestly, I'll take
Jesse's
the 1
won
point.
it for you then.
Yeah, so Jesse and Lewis
okay.
give me 19 for the game week, so that makes it 11-5 to me. So you have sort of got to get a spurt on now because we've got 9 weeks to go till the end of the season. 9 games.
This is nearly mathematically impossible, isn't it?
You've got 6 points to draw level.
What happens in 3 weeks when you mathematically take the crown? Do these videos stop? Or do
we keep going just to see how many I'll beat you by.
Pride to play for.
So, you better hope that you start winning some games soon. And actually, this week should be difficult for you because you've got the under 10%ers this week.
Yeah, I had the top picks last week and still lost.
Yeah, and to be fair, 2 of them did perform. It's just unfortunate.
Jesse's done the business.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, if you'd have got a clean sheet from your defender, that would have been enough to win it for you last week.
Enough of Game Week 29. Let's get to Game Week 30. It's coming up and we need to talk about the defenders first and foremost. So I'm going to have the differentials. I've got the difficult task of picking the differentials, but you've got the over 10%, what we would consider to be at the top picks. And first on the agenda is a man in absolutely bang-on form for club and country, as we've seen over the international break. Luke Shaw, 13.6% ownership. Rocketed in the last few weeks. Nice pick, in great form. Yeah,
one of those players that actually was on my kind of agenda that may go out of my actual FPL team over the few weeks. But actually, he's defied the fixtures that he's had. And he's been performing even through some more challenging games, shall we say. And as Lee said, got the assist for the Harry Kane goal against Albania for England. So nice to see him continuing the form that he's had in the league.
It's good. I feel great for him, right? Because he's been so stop-start with his injuries. He's been really unlucky with injuries, hasn't he, to be fair?
Yes.
But he is starting to get some consistency in his game now. And with that consistency comes a bit of form. And this is probably the Luke Shaw that we were expecting to see from his early days.
Yeah, and he's been really good. I mean, he's returned in each of the last 4 game weeks, 4 clean sheets, but not only 4 clean sheets, he's also had a goal in that period and 6 bonus points. Over the last 4 game weeks, the lowest points return he's bought for his managers is 6. Now he's going into a game against Brighton, who, whilst they're not mathematically safe just yet, are, after what happened in game week 29, are bordering on having survived for another season in the Premier League. I'd say they're unlikely to go down now.
I think there's still some twists and turns to be had.
Unlikely to be in. Newcastle are in free fall right now, unlikely to be Brighton. They're not scoring a lot of goals either. They're keeping keeping players out, not necessarily keeping the clean sheets. Brighton obviously did in game week 29, but they're not conceding a lot of goals. But they're not scoring a lot of goals, and I do think that game week 29 was a bit of an anomaly based upon the opposition that they faced.
3 goals was not. It was one of those games, Brighton-Newcastle, where actually some of the underlying stats we've seen for Brighton, certainly from an XG perspective, expected goals perspective, it sort of came to fruition a little bit in that game, didn't it? Yeah. They've sort of been threatening to go big against a couple of teams. But it was Newcastle.
They won't do that against Manchester United, I think, is the point I'm making. And I think Luke Shaw's attacking prowess, as well as his ability to keep clean sheets, for me, makes him a really, really nice defender this week.
Very good. All right, well, 13.6%. You'll have to go all the way down to 2.5% to go with my differential pick in defence. Is Mr. Marcus Alonso. Now, bear with me.
We're back in 2015.
Well,
16.
listen, and I know what you're going to say, and get in the comments below, guys. Let me know if I've had a stinker here with Alonso, because I could equally have gone for Reece James as well, although I didn't look up to see whether he was over 10% or under 10%. So if you've got Reece James, I think he's a nice pick as well. I do expect Chelsea to keep a clean sheet at home to West Brom. I don't think that's in any question. Tuchel,
will he start?
How many goals has he conceded, Tuchel? Like, no goals in 10 games or something.
Goal,
ridiculous, right? Absolutely what he's done defensively for Chelsea is nothing short of astonishing, right?
Massive turnaround.
They've got massive turnaround. And defensively, they look solid as a rock. Now, in recent times, we've seen actually Tuchel go with the more attacking fullbacks against the so-called lesser teams, right? Where he's got to go for the game a bit more and he needs those goals. You start to see the likes of Alonso and you start to see Reece James get more game time. I also think that in a game like West Brom at home, the risk of getting in behind those two is weakened, but I'm talking myself into it here, is less because West Brom lack that quality. Now, they have got the target man in Diane up there, but I think that generally speaking, they struggle to get that service to him. So if they do manage to break that back line and they find space in behind what I expect to be Reece James and Marcus Alonso, have they got the quality then to really hurt that Chelsea back line? I'm backing that they don't, and I'm backing Chelsea for a clean sheet at the weekend. I think because Chilwell has been out on international duty, and based on what I just said about Tuchel wanting to go for the game a bit more, I think Alonso gets to start. Now, again, I'm on a wild card, right? I'm going to be wild carding in game week 31. So I've got a 1 week punt in me. I've got a 1 week punt for game week 30.
To be fair, you wanted
to fancy it to be Alonso.
And you wanted to do it a few weeks back when he did really perform.
Yeah.
So
I'm thinking about it. I've got a couple of defenders in my team, like Lewis Dunk. I'm not going to play him against Manchester United. And I have money in the bank to go up to Alonso. I could be a little bit safer and go Reece James. But there's something nostalgic about picking Marcus Alonso.
You could just go Regulion, who's got a double game week in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, maybe, but I'll get him in my wild card in 31 if I really want to.
He's got Newcastle,
I want a 1 week punt, and I do like Marcus Alonso. Am I crazy? What do you think?
Dad, look, if he plays, I think he's a great pick, and I get what you're saying about the international break, and you are right. Tuchel does often play them against the lower or the lesser teams in the league.
Got to go for that game, isn't he? Surely.
Yeah. There is an element of doubt, though. There's an element of risk with Marcus Alonso in terms of
my middle name for the remaining 8 game weeks is going to be Risk. Lee Risk Bonfield. We're going to have some fun with FPL, and that fun is with a capital F.
Starts with Marcus Alonso.
And it starts with Marcus Alonso in game week 30, guys. Get in the comments. Let me know what you think about Marcus Alonso. Have I gone mental picking him for my FPL team at 2.5% ownership this weekend? Let's move to midfield then. The over 10% owned, a player that I've been massively impressed with this season, is Rafinha. Tell me about this pick. 16.3% owned. Got a fantastic fixture this weekend, but it is on that Ellen Road pitch, and I do worry about Leeds' ability to play on that terrible pitch. What do you think?
He's had a couple of weeks for recovery time, the pitch has.
Healing pitch.
You know,
They've got this magical healing pitch.
It'd be fine. It's grown by Spurs, right? It'd be fine.
I still absolutely adore that story that you told on one of our live streams about the fact that Leeds bought that pitch from Spurs at the beginning of the season.
Yeah. No, not at the beginning of the season. They bought it when their pitch ran out.
Pitches don't run out.
Yeah, but their pitch fell apart, didn't it? They couldn't plan it anymore, and they needed a pitch.
So they bought Spurs second-hand eBay pitch.
No, it wasn't an eBay pitch. We were growing it as a spare for ourselves. Right. Anyway, this is an aside.
Anyway, the Elland pitch is in a state.
It's in a little bit of a problem, but I'm sure it'll be fine after the international break.
All right.
This is in part. Well, this is picking a player that's got the perfect storm for me. As Lee mentioned, he has a glorious fixture against a woeful Sheffield United, still managerless as well, by the way. Still haven't appointed somebody.
They're dead and buried, aren't they? And I do worry about their state of mind a little bit.
Yeah, I mean they've lost the manager who was the heartbeat of that team in so many ways.
Club, right?
They haven't replaced him yet. They are pretty much down. I can't really see them getting out of it now.
Definitely not. 50 goals conceded this season. They've lost 23 matches. I mean,
they're just in a woeful position, and I think couple that with Raphinha, who, even if he hasn't scored FPL points, has impressed me week upon week upon week. The eye test is always there. He's always the one that's putting the balls into the right positions.
He's the opposite to Lingard, actually, isn't he? Yes. Lingard just belies his stats. His XG and stuff is all over. It's in the mud.
Yeah.
But then he pops up with a worldie. Whereas Raphinha posts all the stats you need to say, right, he's perfect in FPL. But sometimes doesn't get you the points. Although last game week, the 8-pointer will be a welcome addition.
Yeah, and I do think with Raphinha, sometimes it's his teammates that let him down because they just don't finish it in the way that but I'm hoping that Bamford's going to be back from it. It looks like he'd be all right for post-international break, so that should be fine. And I just think with a fixture like Sheffield United, even the wasteful chances that his team have passed up over the last few weeks, surely this is the time where they can score those goals. So I think Raphinha is a really, really nice pick for this week.
Raphinha, as well as some of the other, I think if you've got Leeds players, this is the week.
Oh yeah, Dallas, Bamford, all of them.
But then the fixtures get hard from 31, so it's a fixture swing that you need to keep your eyes on. But for this week, Leeds assets, including Raphinha.
Probably won't see him again for the rest of the season, so say goodbye.
Yeah, that's it. A parting gift from Raphinha would be good, wouldn't it? Would be good. Lucas Moura is my pick. 6.6 million, only 2.2% owned. So if you are looking to get a piece of that Spurs team against, an out of sorts Newcastle, let's face it, Newcastle only kept one clean sheet in their last 4, and they are top for defensive tackles lost in the last 4 as well. I think you posted that on Fantasy Football Scout. I've completely ripped that off of your article from
I've got that written
Scout.
In my notes for what I'm going to talk about in a minute.
Very good. So I've completely ruined your bit for in a second. But Lucas Moura, if you want into that Spurs side in a very differential way, Lucas Moura has really impressed me recently.
It's been really good.
Okay, the FPL points have been not exactly rolling in, but I'm looking at him in terms of the eye test and looking at the way that he works for that team, and I think he's sensational. He's really putting in a shift recently.
What I think is really interesting here is, given Gareth Bale's comments whilst away on international break, and given Harry Kane's comments, I don't know if you saw what Southgate had to say about what Kane's been saying about being at Spurs. It seems like with somebody like Lucas Moura, you really do have that massive commitment for the team, and that is exactly the sort of player that Mourinho wants in his side. A player that's going to go out there. Is Son fit though?
If Son and Bale are fit and Kane, I do have a concern about putting him as my pick, because surely if those front three are there, he plays him.
I don't know that he's going to play Bale for the Newcastle
Interesting.
game.
Okay.
I'm not entirely convinced that Bale might not get some repercussions for the comments.
This is what you get with Bale. If you buy into Bale, that's what you're going to get. He could easily get you a double pointer against Newcastle.
Absolutely.
He could easily get Naffle.
Absolutely. But I think Lucas Moura is pretty much guaranteed to start. I would say against Newcastle.
He's guaranteed to start.
I don't. Okay. I think he's not been out on international duty. He's been back at the training ground working with Mourinho and those players, working with Son. So I'm expecting Son to be fit and available. I'm expecting Lucas Moura to start. I think a lot of what's been good about Spurs has come out of what's been good about Lucas Moura in recent weeks. He's been phenomenal. A real change in him in the last 3 or 4 game weeks. You're right, hasn't necessarily had any points to back that up. But this is Lucas Moura, and we've seen in games gone by that he has that potential in him to do really well. And this Newcastle side are terrible.
Okay, well, 8 games in their last 4 for Spurs, so they are looking pretty good. And if you look at the Premier League form table...
Stop stealing all my stats.
You got that stat as well? Yes. Stealing your thunder. If you look at the form table, Spurs are right up there, right? Despite the slightly dodgy performance the other week, have looked better. They have looked okay. So the form is there. So Lucas Moura, 2.2% owned. Comes with a health warning, that one. He might not start.
A bit like Marcus Alonso as well.
What's going on here? I've got some risky picks this week. But if we're going to win this thing and claw back this ridiculous deficit that I've got, we've got to do something drastic. Remember, leave fun Bonfield. That is how I'm going to play FPL for the rest of the season. Water's wet, grass is green, and Sam picks Harry Kane in the points predictions video. Go for it.
Genuinely, okay, I knew you were going to say this, but I genuinely don't think that you'd pick anybody else. This is the form striker in the league against one of the worst defences in the league.
Yeah.
This is a points predictor about the players that we think are going to perform the best this week. It is going to be Harry Kane, surely. Right, I'm going to have to find some stats that you haven't rolled out now. So Kane himself has got 4 goals, 2 assists and 4 bonus points in the last 4 game weeks. He got a brace in this fixture against Newcastle last season, as well as an assist back in September when they robbed us, Robbed us.
Oh, this was the one that got headed against Dyer's arm when he wasn't even looking. Oh, yeah. Are you over that yet?
I'm not over it. There's still a mark in my door where I punched it. I'm not over it. Nor are Spurs. We will go up there to beat them this time.
Oh, this is a revenge mission,
It's revenge!
Right,
revenge.
got it.
Obviously, Kane, we already mentioned when I was talking about Luke Shaw, scored for England this time around against Albania. Did also sit out the first game against San Marino, which as a Spurs fan I was quite pleased to see, as well as a Harry Kane owner. He needed a bit of... I'm glad he didn't play the 4 minutes there as well. And from a Newcastle point of view, a stat that Lee didn't rob off me earlier is that they've conceded 161 shots from outside the box. That's the most in the league this season. Spurs are the 4th best in the league for goals scored from outside the box.
Oh, hello Gareth Bale.
Hello Harry Kane, who scored 4 of the 9 goals that we've scored from outside the box this season.
Yeah, he gets lucky with those pop shots, doesn't he?
Be quiet.
Like he does when he falls over for penalty. He gets lucky, doesn't he?
Be quiet. And of course, the other 9, 2 of them have come from Son, and then Kane assisted him for those, so he is always involved.
Oh, so Kane gets jammy assists for Son Worldies as well.
You're just jealous that you don't know
I am
Harry Kane.
So worried about not having
Harry
Kane
in your fantasy team again?
He's not.
Oh, no. Is Harry Kane in your fantasy team when Spurs have got a double in game week 32? Probably not.
He will be. I will play my game week wildcard in 31, so he will come in.
I just think that going into this game week, Harry Kane is the standout pick, and he will probably be one of the standout captains.
Yeah, 45.6% ownership. Enough said about him. Let's move on to 9.7% owned. Richarlison just squeaks under.
Kane raised Richarlison.
Yeah, listen to that. Don't you go on about Richarlison. They have got an equally good fixture as Spurs this week. Crystal Palace at home should hold no fear for Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin owners whatsoever. 4 goals in his last 6 games for Richarlison, so he goes into the game with a little bit of form. And Palace, as we know, defensively, I've got a stat here. Palace are averaging 1.9 goals in their away games, so they concede pretty much 2 goals every time they go away from home. And Richarlison is one of the main protagonists for Everton. So at 9.7% owned, could he be a nice differential? What do you think?
I mean, if anything, he's on better form than Calvert-Lewin at the moment.
Yeah, sure.
He's the one that seems to be getting up there with the FPL points. The problem I have with Everton is that you just really don't know what Everton side you're going to get. Sometimes they're brilliant.
You do against Palace, though, don't you?
Well,
or is Zaha back?
Well, Zaha is back. They're also going to blank in game week 32. They're going to be the only team that don't play in game week 32. So, they've got to get some points. Maybe Richarlison. I don't know. Look, I think Everton comfortably win this one. But there is always a bit of me that goes, well, could Everton they do a bit of Spursy stuff as well themselves, don't they?
So what you're saying is my 3 picks, you do not fancy any of them at all?
No, I fancy Richarlison. I do fancy Everton to win the game against Crystal Palace, and I do think Richarlison will be involved in that action. He is their form player at the moment. Marcus Alonso, if he starts, I think he's a brilliant pick, and Lucas Moura, I think, will start, and I think we'll have a good game against Newcastle. So I think you're all right, but I do think that Luke Shaw, Rafinha and Kane have got it in them to beat these 3.
It's in the bag, frankly. It's in the bag. Let us know, guys, in the comments. Let us know what you think. Are you hashtag Team Lee or hashtag Team Sam? I think I know which team I think I should be on, or I think I know which one I would put in the comments below, to be honest with you. Let us know if you've got better picks than mine in the under 10% category. Would love to hear them in the comments below, or get over to Fantasy Football Scout in the forums over there and post your responses and answers to our video. Good luck in Game Week 30, guys. Until next time, see you soon. Hit that like button before you go, and if you're new to Fantasy Football Scout, hit the subscribe button as well. See you soon.
Bye, guys.